Well, actually, to be honest, I was very busy with the Revive Stronger podcast, which meant I had to keep rescheduling Mike. But Mike was joining me this weekend for a training session, and then we're going to go out for some food, and I'm going to treat Mike to some London cuisine later, so we can
Yeah.
enjoy some vanilla ice cream. I
Of
suppose that's the
course.
order you're going
Of
to go
course.
for when we go for ice cream.
Standard.
But yeah, guys, do let us know if you can, if I can see the chat. Oh, here we go. I can see the live stream. If you can't hear us, that'd be useful to know. But I think you will be able to. Just this microphone works best if you're close to it, and so we might just have to lean in a little bit. But yeah, I'm good. I just finished obviously training in lower body, and I think your training is probably more interesting right now. But I've been dealing with that slight TFL strain, and it went okay. I'm managing it, and that's the main thing. It doesn't seem to be getting worse over time, which is the most important thing, I think. So hit a leg press PR. Progressed virtually everything in my session, actually. Just can't currently do leg extensions, and I think that's actually the only thing I can't do at the moment. Everything else seems to be just fine, so I'm just doing sissy squats in place of those. Otherwise, your training took a bit of a, I don't want to call it a downturn, because it's not really a downturn. I actually often think of these situations as positives, as in you're doing everything right, but you still can't perform, which just tells us that, like, fatigue caught up to you and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's almost, in some senses, to me, it's a positive sign that you've been working your ass off.
Do you know what I was gonna say? I was thinking about this, and it's been a it's been a more challenging week for me, I would say. I woke up on Monday and the shoulder was just more painful. It was really niggly, and it just got in my head. You know, sometimes when you know all the logical things about, not letting things get to you, but it's gnawing at you under the surface. And I think for the first part of this week in particular, I was just really, really depressed. Not really depressed, sorry. That's a bit
That
of
sounds quite extreme.
an...
Happy-go-lucky Mike was really depressed.
But internally, I was just like, it was really bothering me. But it's been gradually getting a bit better, and we decided that we were going to deload the left side anyway. But a weird thing happened. I just, like, normal routine, normal everything, feeling good, and just all of a sudden Friday, like, I wasn't performing. So, and it's happened in the past, and so I know better now than to trying to force through it. So I was just like, just called it, and it's frustrating, but I know that, like, backing off yesterday, today,
Getting you on the screen.
resting Sunday, I'll probably be good to go as of next week. And the shoulder is feeling better already. It's feeling less aggravated. So yeah, bit of an interesting one, like you said, but it happens.
Yeah, I find some people are quite in tune with when they're going to need a deload.
Yeah,
Some people aren't.
I'm not.
And
I'm
Mike
definitely
is
not.
definitely someone who's not in tune with it. And so you almost have to rely on the objective marker of, okay, performance is down across the board, across several muscle groups. You mentioned your calf raises were even down, which I was like, I can't even imagine a situation where mine would be down like that. So yeah, it's like I said, it's not like unfortunate. It's not like it's an injury. It's just a case of, hey, fatigue caught up to you, and so you need to pull back a little bit. So yeah, it's no kind of no harm, no foul. It's a sign of you've been training really hard. I kind of see it like people get concerned if they're hungry on a diet, and I'm like, that's not a problem. Being hungry on a diet is a sign that you're doing everything you should be doing, assuming you are trying to take care of hunger management, all of that good
Yeah.
stuff, like you're trying to take care of not enduring excessive fatigue, doing excessive volumes, you're taking care of your sleep, all of that stuff. So yeah.
It's still frustrating because we were chatting earlier, and you're like, you don't want to deload. You've got this TFL injury or this kind of hip injury
Strain, whatever it is, yeah.
strain, and you're still kind of managing a bit of cold symptoms as well. And it's like, but actually it's okay, it's manageable. So I'd like to carry on going, but sometimes, like with myself, this felt a little bit forced upon me, and it's still there's still an element of you that doesn't like it
Yeah.
in a way, like being forced to do something. But hey, it is what it is.
We are kind of that sort of situation. We are those individuals, though, that if we aren't forced to do it, we may not do it.
Totally.
Sometimes we have to be forced to pull back. There are some people that need that encouragement, they need the push, and then there are other people that kind of need to be pulled back. So yeah, it's part of the game, right? Like, and for context, you've been training how long now in this meso?
I think this was my 13th week. So yeah, I've been going hard. I've been going hard, like lower body. I've been really pushing lower body. Been making great progress. And even with upper body, not the left side, but on the right side, I've still been taking things to reps in reserve. Still been training hard on that front. So yeah, it was going to happen.
Yeah.
At some point.
Any other, I guess, news of the week? We can almost jump to that segment, which there's been, well, as we mentioned last time, there was the NBW, so Natural Bodybuilding Worldwide, AJ and the UK DFBA's kind of first show together, I guess. And then there was the Mr. Olympia, or the Olympia in general. So we've already chatted actually off air a fair bit about it. So we can maybe discuss some of our thoughts and views on that.
Let's go NBW first.
Okay.
Because you brought this to my attention actually first and foremost, but quality of the live stream, just the quality of the production, was second to none.
Yeah.
In some senses, and which was amazing. It's so cool because
you're falling out of shot, Mike. No. You can't fall too far out of shot.
Sorry. Don't lean on things. I'm wrecking the place. But
there you go. You're veteran shot. You just moved out.
There you go. Yeah. But I mean, you think I always like the saying, a rising tide raises all boats.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that the NBW has just leveled things up so much, it's only gonna push all the other federations to level up as well.
So Ali just asked, is that NBW show going to be a repeat yearly show, or is it one-off type of thing? Not the best people to ask. I don't know, but I would be shocked if it isn't going to be a yearly thing. I think AJ intends it to become like the show to entice the best competitors. He had quite a lot of worldwide competitors, international competitors, I should put it. So yeah, if anyone hasn't checked out the live stream, I'd highly recommend checking out the live stream just for reviewing kind of how they move people around, people on stage. But the live stream is just of such a high quality, as Mike mentioned. It's available on AJ Morris's YouTube channel. So if you just search NBW or AJ Morris NBW or Natural Bodybuilding Worldwide, I'm sure it will come up. And yeah, I would take my my metaphorical hat off to AJ and the team over there and Loz, because it looked great. The lighting looked great, but the live stream honestly was the best live stream I've ever seen. And I've paid for like several live streams this year from different federations to watch clients and so forth. And none of those were even close to the standard of this live stream. And it was free. I guess probably AJ wanted to show it off for the first year. I don't know, but it makes sense that he's kind of offering it for free so people can be like, wow, that's the show I want to be at.
Yeah.
And I've heard of quite a few people actually kind of review the show. For example, Josh Croggan, who competed at it, came second in the men's pro class in men's physique. And he was like, it's the best show he's ever done. I'm almost certain that's what he said. So it sounds like they were taken care of from every aspect. And yeah, he was very impressed by the media package that he was able to purchase as well. So it's super important for competitors, the media package and the media production and the photos and everything, because ultimately, as I said to you, that's what you can use to get feedback, to be able to be like, okay, how did I do versus the other people on stage on this shot? What could I do better on stage? That sort of thing. And then that's like our trophy almost. Like obviously you might win trophies, but you might not. And ultimately trophies are, I mean, they're just trophies, but your pictures, your shots, so you can show, I don't know, your grandchildren, whatever it is, they're the things you're going to kind of remember. So yeah, if there's good media production, you can't overstate how important that is. So yeah, I don't know. You haven't seen too much of the NBW, so I can't ask you if there's any highlights for you.
I've looked through some of the competitors. I really I liked the pro. There was the men's overall winner, and then you had a pro men's winner, which I really liked. But I'm blanking on his name now, so that's not very helpful. So no, I can't say anything specific. Probably.
Yeah, the pro classes weren't separated by anything, like they weren't separated by height or weight or anything like that. They were just open pro classes. So yeah, it's always interesting when it's ran that way because like it's apples and oranges in some perspectives. But from what I gathered, And from watching it myself, the pro men's bodybuilder, I also blank on his name, was a clear winner, which is, yeah, I mean, it says a lot because it wasn't a low quality pro class by any means. The men's physique class was also incredibly competitive. And yeah, I mean, for Josh to have come second, it had to be really. So that was cool. And yeah, I don't have any like standout thoughts or feelings behind it. I didn't watch the whole live stream. I did check in with the live stream. I've kind of, again, like I said, they're available now to be able to review if you do want to look through it. And I do encourage people that want to compete at some point, or you are a competitor, like look at, like, this is a perfect place to look at high level competitors, how people are being moved around on stage. It just gets you some experience without necessarily going to a show. I do encourage people to go to shows though, honestly. So yeah.
I'm honestly just very excited. I really want this to push everybody to up their game, because it's like if people experience this, it really reveals the bad stuff, and eventually it will filter out, I think, because people won't want that anymore. So everything is just gradually going to level up a little bit more over time. So I think it's just exciting.
Yeah, it reminds me, Eric Helms competed at the WNBF Taiwan show a few weeks ago, and the media production looked incredible there. He mentioned that he felt truly like a pro, and they treated him that way, and that encourages people to want to go out there and compete. Fortunately enough, if the MBW and they keep this standard, like we had that right at our doorstep, which is exciting. So yeah, I mean, from an athlete perspective myself, I would love to go and compete at it from having seen it. So again, yeah, very happy with what's going on there. It's just gonna make bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding, better and better. Olympia then?
Let's go Olympia, because so if we went to the men's Mr. Olympia, if we go straight into open, were you surprised by the outcome?
So I didn't watch the live stream. I've only watched people like reviewing it and giving their thoughts and opinions, and then looking at the kind of lineup myself and them going shot by shot. And you're falling out again, Mike.
Sorry, I don't know how I do this.
You're just like leaning back. But anyway, hopefully people can hear us. No one's complained about the sound quality, so I'm sure they can. I wasn't surprised having watched it. I looked. The only one I've seen like shot by shot is all the muscularity round, so I haven't seen the symmetry round, so I can't comment on that. But once you get the symmetry round, gets you into the muscularity round, and I think that's then where people are like, this is the winner. So having looked at that, it was kind of an interesting, because it was apples and oranges in terms of heights. So you had Samson and you had Andrew, who were much taller competitors, whereas you have Derek and Hardy in the middle there battling for first and second place. And so because Samson, I think, was quite obviously fourth, because he lacked the muscularity to hang with the other guys, he just came in a bit flat for whatever reason. Then Andrew was kind of directly compared against Samson. So it was kind of like, oh, you're fourth, third. And it's kind of like, I could see how judges could quite easily just be like, okay, that's where you're at. And also, Andrew's never won a Mr. Olympia, whereas these three others all had. So I think that does play into it. And then you're basically comparing first and second, which is then Hadi and Derek. And for me, Derek had sufficient condition and more muscle. And I think in the IFBB, they highly reward muscle. And he had good shape, like he has good shape, and he's always going to have that. But from almost every shot, he outmuscled Hardy. I had him, even if Hardy had better condition overall. So yeah, from the shots I saw, I wasn't surprised. I do think Andrew jacked, he was very, very good. I wouldn't have had him winning though, not from those shots I saw from the side. He just lacked the width of the other guys. He's just so tall. So I think he just needs a bit more size on those legs. He probably could pose better for his frame though. I think he doesn't do himself justice in some shots. But yeah, so I wasn't surprised. How about you?
To be honest, I wasn't surprised either. I think, coming to your point on Andrew jacked, I think he's just got a big frame, like you said. But I think he has improved. I remember maybe a couple of years ago when I saw him at the Arnold, I feel like what I saw today was better in terms of him starting to fill out his frame a little bit more. He looked a little bit more balanced than from what I remember in my head, maybe seeing him the first time a year or so ago. So we'll have to wait and see maybe in a couple of years' time if he continues to fill out that frame and does really well. But I wasn't surprised with when I was the same as you. I didn't watch the live stream, but I was just watching kind of comparisons and as things were being posted up. But like you said, Derek, I was like, yeah, he's got everything in sufficient qualities, whereas Hadi didn't quite have the shape, didn't quite have enough to beat Derek, in my opinion.
They're very tight though, right? I think they
Oh
were.
yeah,
I think it flip flopped from like the Saturday to the Sunday, and yeah, so it was certainly wasn't an obvious win for Derek.
because sometimes they, Hardy might do a pose and you just think like, oh no, Hardy looks good there, but then it kind of flips, but on average and on the whole, Derek just edges ahead each time. It always surprises me how much muscle they can fit on their frame. Like I just think with how thick and wide Derek's back is, I just think how on your relative frame have you managed to get that width and that size? It boggles my mind how he can fit it all.
Some people argue he is the best rear double bicep there's ever been. Some people argue that. I'm not sure, but
No, I'm not sure about that.
because Dorian Yates is obviously one that comes up. Obviously, Ronnie, you can't not include Ronnie. I don't think Ronnie posed for his physique the best, though, especially on that rear double. He never really opened up, but he's just has so much mass. But yeah, Derek, he is an X-frame on that shot and just so wide. Yeah, and then outside of that, obviously, Nick Walker,
Yeah.
people have called him Nick Talker, which is, I guess that's what's going to happen. And he does talk. He does talk a big game, and I think, honestly thought he was going to win from the sounds of things. Him and his coach, I listened to a podcast interview with them, and they felt very confident going into this. And then for him to have placed outside of the top 5, coming 6th after Martin, it's not a great look for someone that was like battling for top spots previously. But I think it was just obvious, especially kind of his initial look was just off. He doesn't have the frame, I don't think, to hang. Like you look at any of the top 4, the top 5, all very aesthetically pleasing, great frames and structure, very balanced in many ways. Unfortunately, Nick is just not that. He is just this kind of ball of mass and looks unbelievable. It looks unreal. You look at his rear double bicep, most muscular shots. Man, he can contend with a lot of people. His side shots, but unfortunately, like top to toe, he is not the most symmetrical and like balanced individual. I don't necessarily think that's any fault of his own. It's just some people have the genetics, and he is like freaky in some ways, but not in others. But condition was off this year, for sure. Yeah.
And you were saying this to me about how, again, with an enhanced, there's so many factors that go into peak week, and you could be just off by one thing, and everything just goes to pot. So, do you know what? That's the one thing not the one thing, one of many things that puts me off ever going enhanced, because it's so complicated. It just totally puts me off.
Yeah, it is another huge variable to have to manage. I know from hearing his coach talk through the peak, he said it's like the first time he's, I think, peaked an Olympian, first time he's peaked Nick potentially, and he was kind of saying that like it's just a learning curve, and I kind of get that, but also in some ways I'm like, Nick's done it, he's peaked himself successfully previously, not himself, obviously he's had a coach guiding him, but surely you draw upon those experiences so that you're not so off. It felt very off. But yeah, I give the coach credit for taking some accountability there, because I think a lot of coaches wouldn't. I also would credit Nick if he's sticking with that coach, because I think it's easy. Who did I see recently? James Hollingshead has got a new coach, and I don't keep up to date with James and kind of what's going on there, but apparently his coach jumped a lot. I just don't think that's great. You have that issue of the coach never quite knows your body and how you respond and react. And there's never, like, so long as that coach is looking to learn and get better, like I think that's great, and it says a lot. So, and it says a lot to the client to stick with them, but it's in their best interests, I think, as well. So there has been some comments on the live stream. I'm just going to kind of quickly look. So Jared said, is it harder or easier to judge enhanced versus non-enhanced bodybuilding?
I don't think it's any harder or easier. It's neither.
No, it's just assuming the same criteria, which for the most part it is the same. Yeah, I would say you're just looking at bigger people, basically.
Yeah, because it's just like you're still looking for symmetry, proportion. You're still looking for muscularity and conditioning. presentation as a side factor, it's the same things. Like you said, just different beings.
Yeah. The only thing that changes is between federations. Some federations will favor some aspects, or they might have slightly different criteria. You see this, and this is a big thing that people discuss, is like in bikini, looking for just lots of different things within different federations. And it seems to change and evolve quite rapidly. So whereas bodybuilding is kind of like, man, symmetry, muscularity, condition. Like there's only so much to that category. You can't really royally screw it up that well. So yeah, I would say not that different, to be honest.
Yeah, it's relatively easy from that perspective.
We did have Killer K, who we brought up before. Killua, as we termed him. He asked a question a few episodes back. So we do intend to get them, but sometimes they might be missed. That's all I can say. So if you want something definitely to be answered, then do ask and keep asking if we haven't got to it. But the best place to ask is in the hypertrophic time chamber over on Instagram, because then we won't miss it basically, because it's all there. Whereas on YouTube, we have to go through the comments. We have to again, it's just an extra layer of effort on our behalf. So yeah, we would try to get to them. But yeah, thank you for joining us in the live stream. I'm assuming our audio is good enough. And yeah, are there any other categories that stand out to you that you kind of want to discuss?
Well, I think firstly, just better note on men's classic. We had Ramon winning, which was great. I think again we were talking a little bit about it off air, and it was he showed up great. Great conditioning. His legs were awesome. It's one of those things where he doesn't have any weaknesses. Maybe not quintessential classic. Maybe that's a little bit controversial. Maybe, but just very hard to beat. I think when he comes on, and I think that was the case this year.
Yeah, I think I was happy to see Ramon take it, just because it's just a nice story. Like not quite being there, but not giving up, and then eventually getting your justice in some ways. I just think that's a nice story for people and for onlookers to be like, hey, like if you keep trying to improve and you keep taking on feedback, you can eventually be rewarded. Because I thought going into this, it was going to be Mike Summerfield. I just thought he was going to have it based off the fact that he was close to Chris Bumstead in some ways, based off the scoring last time. Some people had him in first. I was like, I didn't feel like anyone had been close to Chris particularly before, so I just felt that way. So then to see him take it, that was pretty neat. Obviously Terence, we love Terence because I think everyone loves Terence because he's just a great guy, and he was 10 pounds heavier this year, and you could see it on him, and that's what allowed him to get into the top 3 for sure, because he, I think, fell out of that over the last years. And obviously he is the best poser of all time. He has no holes in his physique. But as we were discussing kind of off air, I think the hard thing for him is because he's shorter in stature and then doesn't have the mass of these other guys, even if it is a lot of mass for his physique and frame, when you look at him versus them, you get drawn to the bigger guys, kind of similar to the apples and oranges of open. So yeah, I can kind of see how it went. Again, classic, I think there's a little bit more subjectivity to it. It's just not as black and white as open bodybuilding. So yeah, I think it's an interesting time for classic, because the top dog, Chris Bumstead's gone. It's kind of like, he is classic, he is the surefire winner. And now there's just lots of people battling. Yeah. There was a lot, I don't know how many people entered classic, but from the sounds of it, there was a lot of there was just lots of people who maybe didn't even place as high as you'd think, and maybe didn't get their kind of time looked at as well. You never quite know, but that was cool. Then I don't think there's any other. Obviously, Ryan Terry won men's physique, which was great to see.
I said to you, like, his back to me just really stood out. Like, it's so wide. Like when he does that back relaxed, you just think, wow, your lats are just because when you were comparing him to the guy next to him, there was just an obvious difference in terms of width and development. It was just like, wow, this is it's crazy.
And Ryan comes in so conditioned, like he is absolutely peeled but bursting full. And as I was saying to you, I just find he's very balanced. A lot of people discount leg development in men's physique, but I just think when you zoom out and look at the person in front of you and they're posing, if they don't have proportional lower body development to that upper body with the board shots fitting well, it throws off the physique. And yeah, I think he just has that nailed. So I'm excited. I'm happy for him and excited because I think you said he's got 3 titles now. So
Yeah.
he's chasing for like the world record, the record number of
5.
titles, I guess.
He is also the only one, at least to my knowledge, where he stands completely front on. Everybody else twists, and whether that's because because he's just got an amazing structure, or whether that's just more tactical, strategical, whether that's what he's just always done. But I just noticed that, and I thought, hey, you've obviously got great physique, great symmetry and lines if you can pull that off. Just stand straight on.
You know who I noticed doing that, a natural competitor, when I was judging at the WNBF, was Tao, men's physique, and he was doing it several times, and I found like it drew my eye big time. If you look impressive straight on, no hiding, nothing, yeah, you're a serious weapon in that sense. So.
You're just like, oh, bold, like, yeah, this guy got it kind of thing in a way.
There was some controversy on the women's side, actually. A couple of things. One was bikini. I don't know names, so I'm not going to try and say them. But
I don't know.
I think the woman that had been winning year in, year out basically didn't even place, from my understanding. And it was a lack of condition. But I think that was also part due to being told to go down that route. It feels similar a little bit to Samson in terms of he was told to come in like peeled. And obviously he tried to do that and it didn't quite work out for him. And I think it's just a good example of how sometimes things just don't work out. Like, and you can be knocked off your post relatively easily in some ways. And then the other controversy, I don't know if you saw this. Her name's Sarah. I forget her last name, but I think it's not Figure, but it's their version of Fit Body. Is it Women's Physique?
Yeah, I think so.
The Women's Physique winner, by the way, has the best X-frame I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, wow.
You guys, you got to see it. Unbelievable. But Sarah, who I love her physique, actually. I've not really listened to her before in her speaking, but she comes unbelievably peeled, heaps of muscle, poses really well. But I did not realize she has a stinking attitude. Basically, she was like, there's a picture of her sitting with all her medals, and she's saying something along the lines of like, I've won this many times, and I came second or something to this oil champion. She was basically taking shots at the woman that came first for using, what's it called when they use oil? I forget, that's the whatever it's called.
The Dream Tan?
No, oil like,
glaze.
no. Oil like injectable, like you can't, and you're not having a go at someone for using glaze. Whatever that's called when they use like.
I've not heard of this, injecting oil.
Oh, you've definitely heard of that.
Really?
Synthol.
Oh, synthol. Yes, I've heard of synthol. Sorry.
That's injecting oil.
I didn't realize synthol was like oil.
Oh, yeah, it's oil. So, yeah, I think she was having a go at her for that. Anyway, it was just very unbecoming as a competitor. And I just recommend no one does that because you're just like a complete arse. I can't think that that's helped her in any way, shape, or form with anyone. Because I also think the IFBB and the Olympia, they pick like part of the judging, and I think it may be subjective, but they want people like a Chris Bumstead is a great representation of the sport. And so that helps. But if you're an asshole, the judges aren't going to view that favorably for whatever reason, you know? And I kind of get it. So I just have no idea why she did that. Just shout, screams, insecurity. And like, I get it. Second isn't fun, but like, just be humble in your victories and also like, considered in your losses in that sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that was not great.
It's really, I don't know. You see these physiques and you think, wow, this is amazing. And then like when their attitude is not there, they're not the person that you think they are. It really just, it's really disheartening. It's kind of that same feeling of, I don't know what you call it, but when you find out that Father Christmas doesn't exist, you're just so deflated. You're like, they just, this hero is not a hero anymore. So it's such a shame. So.
Tanya said, I think she thought it would come off as normal trash talk like the guys sometimes, but she was just being a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did not, it didn't go how I think she intended it, that's for sure. Jared asked, actually, this is quite an interesting question. How does positioning of the competitor on stage order factor into judging? I know in like a 100-meter dash they put the fastest in the middle and lower ranking on the most outside. Is it the same ish? From my understanding, no. I believe it's just random. I don't believe there's anything there.
So yeah, so he's asking from like, when they're standing at the side of the stage, that doesn't mean they're in any particular order that's
When they
affecting.
first come out and then you get your like number wherever you are.
Yeah, that's random as
Yeah.
far as I was aware.
But I do think it impacts things.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Like in terms of how the lighting is and stuff. If someone's just happens to stand in a good lighting and they catch the judge's eye, they're going to be like, come forwards.
And if you're in the middle, you're in the middle.
Yeah.
You have to be moved out of the middle. But if you're on the outside, you have to be moved into the middle. So like there's just one step that has to take place.
Yeah.
I know in the Netherlands, when I took the win there, I was on the outside and I got progressively moved into the middle, which is cool. But sometimes that might not happen. You could get missed a little bit easier. I know at Worlds, I was right on the outside, and I noted in my kind of review of the video footage, a lot of the people that were right in the middle, because it was a huge class, we were wrapping around the whole stage, a lot of them got brought from the middle to the first call out. And I was like, whilst you don't want that to happen, like you said, like you can't see people as well on the outsides, especially as a head judge who's making those calls. So I do think it plays a little bit of a role. Also, the other thing that plays a role is if you're the first competitor out on stage, you have to hold your pose the entire time. So you're not as fresh as someone who's getting pulled out later. So yeah, there's advantages and disadvantages to every place, but I think where you want to be is in the middle of the pack. So you are having to be moved out of the middle rather than moved into it. It's an interesting one. These are like the nuances of judging and competing that not many people will get.
I don't know if they did it this year, but I remember in Olympia's gone past where I watched the live stream, all the competitors would come out one at a time first. So they'd come out individually, hit a few poses, then go away, and then they'd all get called out as a collective. Then they'd go through their pre-judging. And I think that's actually, if you've got the time and the resource to do that, I think that's good, because then you can see each competitor in their ideal lighting, and then you can start comparing them.
Oh, Jared said, I mean, when they rearrange competitors. Yeah, for sure. That's what they're doing. So they're doing first call outs, and the people they're bringing to the middle generally are the people they're like first, second, third. So when you see Derek and Hadi in the middle there, and then you see the other guys on the outside, it's like, okay, this is first and second place. And then they have second call outs, and again, it's similar there. So you don't know for certain, especially depending if there's not many competitors, like at some of the natural shows, there's literally like 4 of you sometimes on stage. If you're in the middle, you're not guaranteed you're first. And if you're on the outside, similarly, you're not guaranteed you're not. But generally, that's how the judging works, is the people in the middle are the ones who are going to be taking first or second, or certainly top 3 placings.
And the final thing that I'll just say, it's not like a specific, well, maybe it is category, but we were talking about glutes, and just blown away by some of the female competitors. For me, wellness stood out, where their lower body and their glutes are so well developed. Like their glute med is just like out, and it just accentuates their X frame. Like some of the development on the lower body of some of these female competitors was just unreal.
Yeah. And to comment on the females as well. I said to you again off air, the posing, like the guys need to learn from the women, because they can present themselves so well. I mean, Terence, very, very good.
Yeah.
Urs also coming from classic, like Urs is great posing. But the women, the way they keep their like that femininity, it's almost like the vibe you get from men's physique competitors, right? When they bring that stage presence, like the women, some of them are so good at keeping that. And I think it's incredible. I think it's another layer that the men don't have to even consider. So I think it goes underappreciated a little bit. And just wild, some of those guys.
Do you think that's just practice? Or like...
I think there's some innate, like, femininity. I don't know. Not to say some guys don't have that skill set as well, but I think it's hard. And it's 2025, so I don't know how much I can say this, but I think there's a reason most like dancers are often female. Partly big time, mostly environment and just social, what goes on and what people appeal to. But I think women are a little bit better at maneuvering in a little bit more of a fluid and present themselves type of way. I don't know how to say it apart from
graceful.
Graceful, that's the word. Yeah. So that's at least I don't know if I'm just the only one thinking that. Or
I think there's always going to be an element of practice. I think because I no doubt probably think that there are probably women out there who have to practice to be graceful. Like for some people, just graceful doesn't come naturally to them. And I think it's the same with the guys. I think you probably have some guys that, like Terence, maybe, who they love posing, and so they'll practice it, and they were probably graceful to begin with, and they were probably had a slight talent and a coordination to pose well anyway, but they've still had to put time into it. And I think, but for some other people, they just need to put maybe a bit more time into it.
Yeah, it's that whole nature versus nurture argument, right? It's definitely not just one. Women don't get amazing at their posing just born that way. They definitely have to put a lot of time and effort into it. And I think the women are just better at doing that. I think they're more diligent. I think they're better at some aspects of the bodybuilding game than guys. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things. Tanya just said, I'm interested in this comment. What did you say? Femininity isn't exclusive to females. It's an energy we all have and need to cultivate, just like masculinity. The best male posers have strong femininity they use as well. Yeah, I can kind of see that in classic to some extent. But I think it is a little, I do differentiate it a little bit, but it's almost like a vibe and energy. Yeah. I kind of see that. And it's like stage presence would be a term for it. Like some people have that stage presence and energy. You can almost get it. You have to almost be there in person, and others don't. But yeah.
I think you have to, just to add to that, like I think you have to also pose to your physique, because I think Nick Walker trying to be a Terence Ruffin wouldn't work. You know, he
Imagine.
This huge monster of a man. But no, I think like if you are, you know, an out and out bodybuilder kind of thing, you know, open division, muscular, more freaky type of bodybuilder, it's like, that's not to say you shouldn't practice your posing, but equally don't try to be something that you're not.
Yeah, I see that for sure. Right, should we get to some of the
Let's do it.
time chamber questions? And yeah, if you guys have comments on the live stream, feel free to fire them in.
Thanks for the comments, guys.
Might pick on some of them and highlight them.
Some great chats. Right, okay. So our first question comes from Ryan Hale, who asks, any tips to help with overthinking in relation to performance? I've trained for a long time, but this has always been a lingering issue.
Ooh, this is a great question. So I view this a little bit like as an analogous to overthinking maybe scale weight fluctuations. And a lot of the time, obviously, people look at the scale day to day, and some of us get a bit caught up in those. And an easy way to solve that is zooming out and looking at long-term trends and how that's going, and that's an easy solve. You also have the thought of, all right, what have I done to lead to that? Have I done everything I should do? Have I focused on my process? Have I crossed my T's, dotted my I's, followed my macros, done my cardio or steps, and so on and so forth? And if I have, I can be confident I'm doing what I need to be doing to see this result in the right direction. So I see that similar to performance. Like a one-off performance doesn't tell you much, just like a single weigh-in doesn't tell you much. You need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture and be like, right, how's it trending over time? And it's only when you start seeing a trend in a direction with performance that's maybe negative that then that starts to become something that you need to focus on a little bit more. Any other tips that I can think of? Again, I think it's a case of, for me at least, when I think about my performance, I think about, again, crossing my T's, dotting my I's, setting myself up for success, making sure I get my good sleep, my pre-workout nutrition, stress management, all of those good things. And then I look at my logbook and I look at, hey, I did this last time, so I should at least be able to do that this time. And normally, especially when you're a bit more experienced, you kind of know if you feel like you can beat that. You also have a thought of, how did last time go? Was it like grinding so close to failure, or was it like, hey, my technique was a bit on like the erring on like, it could be improved. And in those sort of situations, I'll be like, right, let's kind of look to match this week. Let's not go in with more expectations than that. Or if you had a poor night's sleep, something was a bit off, you might go into the session with that expectation in mind, just being like, right, let's not expect too much from myself. But if everything was in order, I'm like, right, it's that number on paper. Let's go. Let's execute almost robotically and not get too emotionally attached to it. It's also just recognizing like that's just similar to like one weigh-in or whatever it is. That doesn't dictate your physique and your progress overall. It's like just time doing the damn thing. Time, training hard, close to failure with sufficient work and looking to progress it over time. So yeah, maybe that helps Ryan, but I see why I can see why people maybe get a bit of overthinking.
I interpreted this. I probably have a slightly different slant to this because I feel like I've struggled with this a little bit myself, where I think of it where you're a bit too internal focused, where maybe you could potentially, when you're on the leg press as an example, you're thinking about, am I feeling the stimulus in my quads,
Oh, I
et
see.
cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. Whereas actually become more external focused. Think about just pushing that sled through the ceiling. And also just not thinking too much about anything. Just have one thing in your head and just be like, right, do. Just think press, 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 press. Rather than like, oh, am I feeling it in my quads? Or is someone waiting for the equipment? Or what if I don't match my performance? Or, oh, this is going to be really painful, and oh, the burn, and blah, blah, blah. So you've got all of these things whirring around in your head that are just distracting you. And actually, you've just got to be like a horse with blinkers and just think of one thing and just go in and like you said, execute. And I think for me, in the moment in a training session, that's kind of really helped me. And then the final thing, if you're getting anxious about a set, don't think, go straight in. Like sometimes, even though it might not seem optimal, like do your warm-up sets and so on, but right, don't even think, just go in, go for it. Like, don't think about it, because I think the more time you spend but procrastinating before getting into that set, you've got time for those anxious thoughts and thoughts just to whir around. Whereas if you don't even give yourself time to think, jump in and go, and then hopefully just over time you just get a bit better. So those are a couple of things that have sometimes helped me a little bit get out of that overthinking.
I don't know if this ever helps with you, Mike, but something that's helped get me into that zone of focus that you described is kind of holding my music for that.
Yeah.
So like I almost pause my music, and then when I'm starting the set, play the music, and like once that music's on, all I think about is, for example, today unlocking the leg press, bringing it down, back up, rep, like I then count like 4 reps. Like if I want 8, I might go 4, then 4. Or if I'm like today, I was doing 7 for my back up for my next set. So I was like, I get 4, and then I start again 1, 2, 3, rather than trying to count to 7. Sometimes I just like splitting it up into almost clusters. Not that I'm clustering it in the moment in the set, but in my head at least, it allows it like to break it down a little bit, especially with high rep sets. Like I had pendulums and I had 17 that I wanted to achieve. So I was like, right, let's split that into 5, 5, 4, 3. And that just allows me, again, that focus so that it's not such a far away thing to count up to and think about somehow. But yeah, hopefully that's helped, Ryan. I loved your little addition to my thoughts on that as well.
Great question.
So the next one is from Jesse Benson, and they ask tips for working around a minor but lingering wrist pain strain. Oh, it's perfect for you, Mike.
Ooh, so a minor but lingering wrist pain. So we are going to maybe assume that first, hopefully offloading it in the sense of maybe wearing some wrist wraps of some description, just to provide a bit of extra padding, a little bit of extra protection for the joint, potentially a bit of extra support. That would be the key thing. Typically, I would say most commonly with wrist injuries, it's going into that extension that tends to be most irritating for wrists. So it might be that if particularly with pressing movements, maybe you're opting for a bit more of a neutral grip where it's not tending to go back as much. You might want to experiment with sometimes if you've got maybe a thinner or thicker bar, that might cause wrists to go into a little bit of extension, which again might be irritating. So you could think about, padding out the bar with something, wrapping a little towel or a paper thing around it. Maybe with push-ups, a great tip that I used to give is if people are doing push-ups, obviously that can be not nice for the wrists, but if you put like a little towel or a pad underneath the palm of your hand, it puts it on like a slight incline, so it's not as aggressive on the wrists. Also going with what feels comfortable, more of a neutral grip, etc. Those could be all great things. So it's just, again, going for things that feel comfortable for you at the end of the day, and on that wrist. And as long as, if you're getting a bit of discomfort during, but it's not getting worse, that's fine. if it's not feeling worse after your training session, that's a good sign as well. If it's feeling worse after a training session, then that's when you want to modify what you're doing. Sometimes you don't always get that instant feedback during an exercise. Sometimes it's only a bit of a delay afterwards, which can be more tricky to manage. So just go by how it's feeling both in the moment and also the feedback after the session. Use that to modify anything, but hopefully, again, some of those little tweaks helped a little bit.
I have nothing to add. I think Mike gave you basically a free physio consultation just now, so you can take that away with you.
There you go.
There was a question that I was asked in the chat, which was quite interesting, from Joseph. He said, how much responsibility should a coach take for his clients showing up? I feel bad when mine don't, but also feel like it's on them to show up for themselves. Where do you draw the line? Oh, Joe, I didn't realize it was McGreevy, so it's my client, actually. So, Joe, never don't turn up. It's all on you, man. So no, I think that it's important to recognize that both of you play a role in this. As far as I'm concerned, as the coach, we should just outline what we want our clients to do, make it very simple and clear, give them opportunities to ask, and also, like, if they're not showing up, you then can provide, you can ask questions to as why maybe they didn't, and then you can see if you can provide solutions. But there's only so much a coach can do. The thought that comes to mind is you can like take a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So you can give clear outlines of and make them reasonable within like the context of the person's situation, in terms of they should be able to turn up. They've accepted these terms. They know what they're responsible for. And you can make it very clear. You can be like, if you turn up late or if you don't turn up, there's no onus on me. So they've signed up to those terms. So you have no then onus on you past the point of like making sure that it's clear. So I would just make it very, very clear from the outset of what you expect from them, and then what you can expect from like your side. Something we do at Revive Stronger, which you should know, Joe, in our handbook, we have coach and client expectations, I believe. Because it got updated. I was like, but yeah, we have kind of clear expectations there, and that helps along the way too. But I totally get it, because me, you, Mike, we're people pleasers, and so like often we can bend over backwards. But I think there should only be so much that you do, and ultimately, if they're not turning up, it might not be for them. I guess.
I related to that. I think what you said is so important. It's like, and it reminds me of knowing what's within your control as a coach, knowing what's in then the control of the athlete. And related to that, I'm still going through the JPS Physique contest prep course, and in one of the lectures, Martin Refalo was going through adherence, and he likened adherence. So he used the analogy of, you've got accuracy and you've got precision. So accuracy pertains to the plan. So, but then you've got precision. So if you had a dartboard, for example, you could be really accurate, but if the precision is off, it's kind of like it's going all over the place a little bit. So adherence is the precision, but the plan is the accuracy. So the coach's role is to make sure the plan's on point. But then it's on the athlete's role to make sure that, hey, you're as precise as you can possibly be. So yeah, it's knowing like, hey, as a coach, was the plan on point? Did I really try to set the athlete up for success in terms of educating them, expectations, plan, etc.? But then, hey, at the end of the day, the athlete's got to execute that. And, the coach can only do so much there. So again, yeah, it's just about knowing those roles. Did you try to do it to the best of your ability? None of us are perfect, so we're always learning anyway. And I think that will always help.
Cool.
Right.
Next question from the chamber.
So from the chamber, Tanish_3 asks, troubleshooting sleep issues in prep. I'm waking up in the middle of the night with racing heart rate, sometimes accompanied by a high or a low body temperature.
Oh, okay. So I haven't come across the racing heart rate, but your heart rate has to be low to be able to sleep. You can't sleep with a racing heart rate, that's for sure. I have come across these almost night sweats with people. I think the night sweats are related to just hormonal disruption, and there's only so much you can do about that, because I did tend to find that they improved when refeeding, And sleep tends to improve for athletes when refeeding, which is just, hey, we're getting back to homeostasis. We're giving the body a bit of a breather, as it were, from some of the diet fatigue related symptoms, which is one of them is this. In terms of bringing down heart rate and removing some of the night sweats, I would say there's a few things you can definitely do. Wind down routine is the biggest. So making sure a good 3 hours before bed, you're starting to think bedtime. And in those last 3 hours, that might be when you have your last meal. Having food close to bedtime can keep your heart rate elevated. Then other things you can do is obviously trying to just wind down from like a psychological perspective, not being on social media, not doing work, not doing any stressful activities. Dim the lights is a great recommendation, or if you have them, blue light blockers can be really, really useful to kind of create an environment of like just darkness. You can even actually use sunglasses, probably I imagine that would help. I know the evidence is a bit mixed on blue light blockers and whether or not they help sleep. I think in theory it makes a ton of sense, blocking the blue light, not suppressing your melatonin, so that should help. And then taking care of not having caffeine too late in the day. This is one that competitors screw up a lot. They have too much quantity and also have it too late in the day. So I would certainly try and cut your caffeine like 10 hours before bed where you can, and try and keep your caffeine intake at most to like 3 milligrams per kilogram. Try and not go over that if you can. So they're some of the ways that initially come to mind for me, at least. Oh, I guess supplementation wise, sorry, just to say, you could trial like ashwagandha. That might help drop stress, may help lower the heart rate, may help sleep. L-theanine might be one as well that you can trial as well. And then there's things like lavender, lemon balm, which are like sedatives, might help get you to sleep. I don't know if they'll help with the heart rate and stuff, but a sedative might help with the heart rate a little bit there. So yeah, and then obviously the refeeds. So if you aren't incorporating refeeds, if you have time for them, there might be a strategy that you can utilize to help.
I think you've covered all of it. You've just, unfortunately, when we're in prep, we've just got to be a bit more on it with these things. We can't get away with it like like we do during an off season or improvement season. So no, I think you've covered all the bases there.
Jared said thyroid. Yeah, it's the thyroid, which is there's only so much you can do when you're shredded for comp prep and everything like that. That's something that needs to be recovered post show. But I do think it's a thyroid related thing. Again, that's where refeeds might be helping to kind of give that boost or the kind of leveling out of that. But there's only so much you can do. Should we get to?
No.
I think we're only going to do this for an hour because I have had a client check in with me who's competing today, and I want to get back to him as soon as possible and not leave you here hanging. Unless you want to continue whilst I get back to him.
Well, I tell you what. I know that Benita asked a question about hypermobility, so I can try and talk about that.
Sure, yeah, you go for it,
and then
I'll see if I can
see what we can get going.
Yeah, you go.
All right. So Benita asked about hypermobility, and I think I don't know if I scroll up, but anyway, so I think with hypermobility, it can affect a lot of different people, and it can be affected both as a hereditary thing, so something that's passed down in the family, but also with a I love how Jared just said there, Mike can fly solo. Hell yeah, I can. But getting back to hypermobility, it can be linked with a connective tissue disorder or connective tissue disorders. One of the most well-known umbrella term for connective tissue disorders is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but like I said, that is a wide-ranging umbrella term for connective tissue disorders, and within that you can get hypermobility, which is where the joints just have more movement. And thanks for clarifying. And so one of the ways in which you can assess for hypermobility is something that's known as the Baton score. So it's like a 9-point generic scoring system where you would do things like you'd fully extend your elbows, and as you can see, mine are kind of relatively straight, but some people's bow too far the other way, and you probably would have seen it with people's knees. You've got another measure where people can bend forwards and they can have their palms flat on the floor. Things like kind of pulling, I think it's your thumb back towards your forearm. Basically, lots of different measures like that, which are relatively crude, but those are ways in which typically you might deem how hypermobile is someone generically. Now, the issue with hypermobility is that our proprioception, so our body's ability to sense where it is in space, can be a little bit distorted. And also, obviously, the more range that we have in our joints, the more strength that we need to support that range of movement. And if we don't have that strength, obviously joints can become unstable. We can be susceptible to subluxations, and again, with connective tissue disorders, this can sometimes be a major problem where people are suffering with subluxations, joints dislocating, or just being a bit unstable, which can be a big problem. So the biggest thing that can help with that is, one, training proprioception, and also strength training as well. So strengthening those joints, in part giving strength to that extra range of movement, but also in general stiffening the tissues a little bit, so you're not having as much laxity. Whether that's possible, how much, is a bit uncertain. But proprioception, that's things like using, it can be as small as like literally doing something like a plank, or doing something known as a closed kinetic chain exercise, where you've got contact with the ground, where that's giving a lot of sensory feedback to the joints, to the connective tissues, and it's just giving that sensory feedback to the brain so it knows, it has a better idea of where it is in space. But you can also use kind of the very widely well-known instability training, so things like Bosu balls, wobble cushions, etc. They can also be really, really valuable in terms of forcing that body to stabilize a little bit, and really training the brain and training that sensory rich environment, so the brain can better understand where its joints are in space and so on. So I'd say if you do suffer with hypermobility, then I would definitely say probably strength training and training proprioception is going to be absolutely probably some of the biggest things that you can do to help minimize any of the downsides with that. And Blunt for Satana says, biggest, most important thing is strength training for us. Yes. Otherwise, we'll sort of structurally fall apart. Sorry. Thanks, Steve. And that's so true. Strength training is the dual thing where you do get proprioceptive benefits from strength training as well. But you can do a little bit more proprioceptive work as well, which could just have a slight complementary benefit to that. So I would just say, like I said, I think Benita, Blunt Force, Tanya, just like keep on the strength and proprioceptive work, and anyone else listening, keep on that strength and proprioceptive work.
Lovely stuff.
There you go.
I want to see if it shows up, if people can see Rylan, who I just checked in with. Is it going to show it? Come on.
Oh, there you go.
No, it's not showing it off
not as
at
good.
all. Come on, camera. Oh,
there you go.
Rylan checking in with me this morning. Let's see if I can get you a side tricep shot here.
Side tricep.
It's looking absolutely shredded. Come on.
There you go.
Kind of see. It doesn't really do him quite justice, but he's looking superb. We're adding 25 grams to his breakfast of carbohydrates.
We like this.
He's in the middle weights today, and I'm excited for him.
We'll crush it.
Do we want to go through some more questions? I might have to dip out here or there, but
shall we do one more and then we'll call it?
Okay.
All right. So all.grit.no.gear asks, what's the average and maximum time you'll keep clients in a show season?
Oi. As long as it needs to be and as short as possible. That's what comes to mind. There isn't a max or an average. Average might be 20 weeks, maybe, for like men, female, men's physique, bodybuilder. And we're just talking like prep, not pre-prep time. Maybe 20 weeks is average, not including reverse dieting. Recovery diet, not reverse diet. Don't do that over here unless there's a specific situation within a prep to do that sort of thing. And then, did he say maximum? So the maximum, there's no like real maximum as such. I think if you're getting much beyond 30 weeks, I'm like, that's a long prep where we're probably seeing some diminishing returns. Not even diminishing returns, sorry. We're seeing negative. We're over that inverted U and starting to see worse kind of physique. So between 20 to 30 maybe is like a good rule of thumb to go by. But I don't know if you have any additional thoughts.
My only thought was that it has to be individual based, right? You know, because if it could,
Talk to them.
sorry, sorry guys. You know, I think it's got to be individual focused because someone could last 20 weeks. You know, but at some stage, if they look like they're struggling, like their body's not responding, like mentally they're not coping, you know, you've got to call it, and where that is will depend on each person. So, like you said, Steve, I don't think you can say there is an absolute maximum minimum. I think it just depends on the person in front of you. I think also how many seasons the person's done. So if it's their first season, I'd be inclined to say they're less likely to maybe cope with things, and that it's probably going to inevitably be a bit shorter. But I think if someone has done multiple seasons in the past, that they manage themselves really well, I think that will be able to lengthen them a little bit more. My head goes to myself actually. So I competed in 5 or 6 shows, but it was all weekends back to back, and that fatigued me really quickly. And I think that probably shortened the length of my competitive season. Whereas, had my shows been a bit more spread out, had I potentially managed myself a little bit better, again, I think I could have probably lasted a lot longer. So I think how you manage yourself, how things are managed, I think goes a long way into determining that, as well as the individual as well.
Nice, Mike.
There we
Should we
go.
call it there?
Let's call it.
So,
Short and
guys,
sweet.
thank you so much. Short and sweet, just over an hour. But we're normally an hour and a half, right? We are going out for some dinner soon. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some vanilla ice cream for Mike.
Of course. Nothing but vanilla.
Have you looked at what Delicious do?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
So
I'm going to encourage him to get these. It is got vanilla in it. The salted vanilla cookie dough ice cream. I think I'm going to get it because it blew. It
got
just.
to.
I've tried different flavors there, and just none of them slap as hard as this one.
Oh,
So it just is. It's
I'm
really
so
good.
excited.
Although I have to bring down your expectations because
Oh.
you know the best things are when you have low expectations and it beats it,
Very
or
true.
you have expectations and then it beats it.
Mm.
Beats your expectations. That's what I should be saying. So when things beat your expectations, so you have really high expectations. So now I'm like, oh man, it's not going to taste as good. Oh,
Do you know what? I'm gonna be an open canvas.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have.
You say that.
I'll try.
I've already done it. I've already caused the problem. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoy these lives. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And as ever, we're obviously online coaches. I was literally talking to my client here who's competing today, stepping on stage. And we help people get to stage. We help people lose body fat, therefore grow muscle between seasons, or photo shoots, or you're just someone who loves this stuff. The majority of our clients are coaches themselves, or people that are just truly invested into this sort of thing, and they want to maximize their results from the efforts that they put in, and they want someone in their corner that they see eye to eye with, that they want to have some fun with and learn from, and make this whole thing as fun. Honestly, I think that's part of a coaching process a lot of people don't talk about enough, is how much like we try and make this engaging and fun. Like Joe talked about missing check-ins. I want my clients to want to check in. I want to encourage that, so it's like a highlight of their week almost would be brilliant. Like if I can get that out of them. It's not always the same for everyone, of course, but yeah, it's not only to get more from your efforts and know that you're doing kind of quote unquote the right thing, and you're not investing the wrong effort to the wrong places, but it's also to enjoy the process even more. And as we know, that's going to help adherence and effort and all that good stuff. So if you are interested in that, you can get a consultation with myself or Mike. You can just check out the link in the description. Otherwise, guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't yet. Feedback on these lives is always appreciated. We appreciate those who can tune in live. But of course, if you're over on Spotify, that sort of thing, you can always leave us a review. Appreciate it. Anything else, Mike?
No, appreciate you guys showing up. Appreciate everyone listening, and just yeah, contact us, connect with us. We love it. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys.
See you later.
Adios.